Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, remembering John Lewis. Also, Alabama rises in new report. And is Superman woke?
Why are you here? There must be a reason for you to be here.
Yes, I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
You're going to end up fighting every elected official in this country.
Superman, we need you more than ever because we need truth, justice, and the American way. All of this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt. As always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, investigative reporter and columnist at APR, and one heck of a nice guy. Josh?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those payments are still paying off. I like it.
Well, you know, they're not a lot, but you know, they go.
If people only knew what goes on in this studio before we turn on the camera.
They go to pay for kibbles and bits. A lot going on, actually, for the summertime, some summertime. But I got an email, or actually a text from someone I respect quite a bit, who last week emailed me after the show and said, you know, you don't need to be so hard on Alabama, that white people and black people are doing better than they ever have in this state. And I agree with that. But part of our job is not to pat politicians on the back, but hold them accountable for what they do. Because it's not enough to say, well, we're better off than we have ever been. And I agree with this man. I respect him a lot. But we need to do better. Because if being nearly dead last in everything is doing better than ever, I mean, where's the bar, y'all? You know, I mean, come on, give me a
We've got to continue to strive to do better in whatever we do, whatever endeavor.
Yeah.
It's always, you need to continue to try to do better.
Well, we got a report out of CNBC this past week where Alabama has risen 1 point to number 19 in their average of places to do business with, places that are good states to do business with. Last year, we were at 20, and we also got most improved last year. This year, we rose to 19. And Susan, there are some really encouraging numbers in here. And as you and Josh know, the things that we always preach on are bad in these numbers.
They are. Quality of life is the first one on the list. I mean, Alabama's doing well as far as being able to attract business. You know, we've got this new effort for the mega sites with putting the infrastructure in there, which is going to be a good thing. But we're not paying attention to the actual quality of life here. That's something I keep preaching on. You know, we've got SNAP benefits, we've got the Medicaid coming. You know, you got the black belt, it's completely failing in healthcare and stuff. And we keep preaching on this because, again, we need to learn to do better here.
But Josh, in workforce participation and good working jobs, it's jumped to 16. Driven by career and tech and job training, which Governor Ivey has promoted. And the cost of living, of course, we rank 6 because it is fairly cheap to live here.
Property taxes are cheap. It's good.
Property taxes are cheap, which some would say, unfortunately, too cheap. But it is a quality of life.
Except for Josh's.
But these are positive signs of growth. But still, the quality of life is lacking.
Yeah, you know, and I wish people would pay attention to one thing in there. All the things that you named off right there, the job training, the workforce development type stuff that went into this, a lot of the economic development projects, all of those things, if I recall correctly, are bipartisan efforts.
They are. Absolutely.
These are things that 99% of Alabamians agree on and support. They are things that we all get behind. These are the things that improve the quality of life that we have here. And there are other things that 90% of Alabamians would support as well, which would go to those other things. You know, we used to say, Auburn fan, and Auburn basketball for years was middle of the road, terrible every year. And one of the arguments I used to make is it takes as much money to be bad at basketball as it does to be good at basketball.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. It takes the same amount of money to do these things as it would to be good at it, be bad at it, to be good at it. And so we could save some rural hospitals. We could provide a better quality of life. We could provide the infrastructure that we need and probably spend less money than we're actually spending, because we're going to take in so much more in tax revenue because we have already improved. We are very, very attractive. There's a lot of great qualities about the state of Alabama. Unfortunately, a lot of the great qualities are undone by a lot of the bad qualities.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, if you look at we've actually fallen in infrastructure, which I think, Susan, like you said, this infrastructure package that they put together during the last session will help. But back to Josh's point, Anthony Daniels, the minority leader, Democrat out of Huntsville, has been championed by many, many businesses as the most pro-business lawmaker we have. And he's a businessman, and we are happy to report he and his wife are doing great.
They are.
Thank
So
God for
pleased
that. But again, we fail in the areas where we've always failed, and that is in healthcare, in access to public safety. We have chronic health diseases that are not faced. But these are some of the things that we should be addressing.
But we know what a woman is.
What?
But we know what a woman is.
But we do know what a woman is.
We don't address the critical issues. We address the nonsensical ones.
Well, that's the culture wars.
Yeah.
And interesting, Ashley Durham, who is an attorney, a fertility attorney in Birmingham, is running for the Supreme Court. I had not heard of her, Josh, until I was doom scrolling on TikTok, and there she was making her case. And she is really a smart woman who probably would really help on our Supreme Court. But nobody knows who she is.
Yeah, it's a problem that Democrats have faced for a while now in terms of getting the names of their candidates out into the mainstream and making them more well-known. These are people, she's certainly a person, I think, who would better represent the state of Alabama on the Supreme Court than pretty much anybody else who's up for it or is currently serving on the Alabama Supreme Court. Honestly, she is. I just look at her past, look at what she's done, look at what she offers, the things that she talks about. And I don't think that anybody would really disagree that having a person like that on our Supreme Court would be good for the common average working person in the state of Alabama.
I agree. And I do think that she would be a welcome addition. I think Supreme Court Justice Lynn Stewart is a fine individual who does a good job. And I think there's others on there. But I think the addition of someone like Ashley Durham would maybe bring a little bit more continuity.
Yeah,
to
well,
the court.
there needs to be a little more balance in our Supreme Court, and I think she would bring that.
And we really need balance in the state, and that's what our job numbers, our economic development and all this is about, because we have bipartisan support for these things. But anyway, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you still might not get what you want. We'll be right back. You're watching The V.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Josh, this past week, we marked the 5-year passing of John Lewis, Representative John Lewis, one of the pillars of the civil rights movement and one of the sane and sincerely good people who have come from Alabama and gone on to greatness and to show us that greatness is in our goodness. And that was one of the things that he showed us, and that there was always a reason to pick a good fight.
Yeah, there was, and we missed John Lewis in a number of ways, but yeah, I think probably most is he was a constant reminder to people that they should strive to be better. And just his history and his legacy and the kindness that he had. I mean, I'll never forget talking to him in Selma a few years back and doing the interview with him. He was so kind and gracious and just, an approachable guy. But more so than that, he carried this kind of stoicism with him. And when you would talk to him, or when other people, even the rabid folks that get into arguments and stuff, that it just calmed the waters. Whenever he walked into a room, and they were instantly reminded of what America could be and what it once was. And I think that's what we miss a lot from someone like John Lewis. And there are others out there, certainly. I don't know anyone necessarily of his stature, but man, he is certainly missed.
Yeah, I mean, we need that kind of conscience. We need that kind of gentle courage. But I mean, this is a man, and in the movie Selma, you see really his struggle. We know it from history, and if you don't, you should. But Susan, beaten, chased, jailed, and still remained not only fierce for the cause, but showing compassion for everyone.
Talk about make America great again. I'd like to make America great again in the eyes of John Lewis.
Yeah.
That would be my goal and what we need to strive for, because he was that determined, dedicated soul that made us all want to be better. Made us all want to think better of our neighbors and of, take our votes seriously and respect it for what it is, which he called making good trouble.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Well, we need good trouble.
We do need good trouble.
I mean, right now in our state, we
get chills.
We don't have enough people making good trouble.
No, we don't.
We have people just making trouble, gain power for themselves. John Wall sent out this letter the other day threatening all the libraries to withhold federal funds, like we get a lot of federal funds. I mean, Donald Trump's withholding $68 million in federal funds, Josh, from the state schools that was already appropriated by Congress. We're going to have problems, but nobody's fighting that big trouble right there. And the thing is, we just need leaders with integrity, because this callousness, Josh, is just killing us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that, the withholding of the $68 million is primarily to try to punish schools that were teaching Hispanic students.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all. I mean, look at the programs that they were targeting out of this, and that's basically what it is. It's going to hurt a lot more than that now. It's going to hurt your community schools. It's going to hurt the after-school programs. But, I mean, as we all know, those after-school programs are primarily populated by kids with deadbeat parents who aren't at work. So, I mean, that's all that ever goes to those, are the after-school programs. That's why you need them. But it just is. It's such an. You're right, man. We have become so. You know what? I shouldn't say we. Some people in this country have become so very hateful and so emboldened in their hate of certain groups of people. And some people have been so easily misled down this pathway of hating folks simply for the color of their skin or where they come from or the language that they speak, that it is really sickening. And you're right. We need somebody to remind them of what we once were back in the 50s and 60s and even prior to that. And the way so many people suffered because of it.
Yeah. I mean, and again, and I'm not picking on Senator Tommy Tuberville because all the elites are lining up behind him like toy soldiers. But this past week, he was on a radio show and he said he wanted to make Alabama great again, Susan. And we had just talked about what period in Alabama's history would you want to repeat?
I can't think of one. I mean, we were just talking about John Lewis and Bloody Sunday and the lynchings and all of this negative history that we've had. Exactly where does he want to go with that?
I think it's just
Civil
a slogan
War, maybe?
that he's trying to take, like Trump and use it as a rallying cry. But I can't think of any sober-minded person who would want to go back.
No.
And listen, I'm not picking on the senator. He can say what he wants to, and he will. And he will. He did say that he wanted to put together a good cabinet and he was going to delegate to that cabinet. And I think all that's good. We'll see. Years a long way. I want to do this real quick. Once again, our Ernie Yarborough, our very own Marjorie Taylor Greene drag queen, or drag queen, I guess, has a new bill, Josh, where he wants to make sure that we can all resist vaccinations. We can all resist wearing masks because, we want people to die. We really do, for ideology.
Well, I just, I would like to remind people that you could always resist the vaccine. You could always resist wearing a mask. It's just that you couldn't go to places that other people were.
Yeah.
Who didn't want to get sick, when you were doing these things. That's what the difference was. And it was the best effort that smart people knew at the time to keep people from getting sick, to prevent deaths, from occurring from a deadly virus that had spread throughout the country and throughout the world, in which I'll remind people, more than 1 million people died. We had the highest death rate in the United States in our history for the year of that pandemic, at greater than World War II. We had a death rate increase that was higher than World War II. This happened, y'all, okay? And the people who were trying to figure this out, this is what they put in place to do it. And if you're so dumb that you can't understand that, then don't wear the mask and don't get vaccinated.
But the thing is,
and if you're my healthcare provider, if you're my nurse and you refuse to get the vaccine, I need to know that you've done that. And if you lose your job for it, that's not my problem, because I need to be assured that you're not going to contaminate me.
the thing you're missing, both of you, is that the pandemic really didn't happen. It was a hoax. And that the people that we personally knew, all three of us, who died, horrible deaths, didn't die.
No.
They just,
I mean, people like Ernie Yarborough forget the 18-wheeler trailers that were outside hospitals that were serving as morgues.
Yep, all right, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Josh, the new Superman movie has got the right-wingers just losing their mind. They say that Superman, a space alien who came to Earth to do good, is too woke. Too woke, too woke, too woke. And from what I can tell, it's the same Superman that George Reeves and then played on television. And then, the greatest actor, Christopher Reeves, is my favorite, of course. And I met him one time. Really great fellow, great fellow. But Josh, you've seen the movie. Is it too woke?
No, it's not too woke. It's not really. I'll be honest. It's more of a modern superhero movie. Not necessarily my cup of tea. A whole lot of things going on in that movie that old people don't really know anymore. And I'm classifying myself as an old person here. But listen, I thought the gentleman who played Superman was a fine Superman. The overall concept was great, and he had the same message that he's had since I was a boy from Superman, which is treat each other with compassion and kindness, and just be a decent human being to the people in the world and protect the weak and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I for some reason or another, that was taken as a pro-immigrant message. And I guess, maybe, I know we shouldn't treat immigrants with compassion and kindness. I reckon that's in the Bible, from what I understand. But it's, I just think that a lot of people seem to have changed over the years.
Yeah.
And, or they seem to have missed the messaging that has come from these movies all along. And just look at the various Disney movies, look at the various superhero movies, look at the message that has come from them all along about treating each other with kindness, not judging people by their outward appearances. For God's sakes, we just had Wicked blow up, that's what the whole movie's about,
Yeah.
It's not judging people by their outward appearances. And it's just, I don't know if they slept through these things or if somewhere along the way they just joined up with the dark side and are with the Empire now, and the resistance is left to their own devices. But it's nonsense.
I tell you what they've done. They put their Bible down, because what Josh is talking about there, everybody, human decency, taking care of one another, was all in Jesus's messages.
Yeah.
Every bit of what Josh just said is biblical. So they've laid the Bible over here and they're preaching over there.
Well, what they do is they tear out the pieces they don't like.
That's true.
If they don't like it. They worship John Wayne Jesus more than they do Jesus. But the thing is, superheroes have always been about doing good.
Yeah.
Truth, justice, and the American way. Where is the justice today when you have politicians who lie more than they tell the truth? Where is the truth?
And why
has the American way become a way of hatred rather than welcoming? The Statue of Liberty should have a blindfold on it, because we don't care. We are a nation of immigrants. When my foremothers landed on these shores, we weren't wanted here. The Native Americans didn't want us. But we came anyway with our guns and our money, and we just left out the lawyers. We should have left them in England, but they came here too.
There is now a mural in France, and for those of you who forget, the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France to us because of our welcomeness. There is now a mural in France of the Statue of Liberty with her face in hiding.
Yeah.
Because of what we're doing.
Well, then the French financed our Revolutionary War to a great degree, and then they ended up having their own revolution, chopped off heads.
None of this is new. We hated the Irish immigrants, we hated the Italian immigrants, we hated the Asian immigrants, we hate the Mexican immigrants and the Hispanic immigrants, and it's just one after another. And through every single one of them, it's been the same message. This is our country, and you're exploiting our immigration to come here and try to change it into your own, and you're not observing our way of life, and you're poisoning the fabric of society, and you're basically vermin. And it just is. It's so narcissistic, and it's so ignorant of our past. We are a nation of mutts.
Yep.
We have always been a nation of mutts, and we should always strive to be a nation of mutts because that's what's made us great. You want to talk about what makes America great? That is what makes America great.
No, but meanwhile, we have taken the people that originally inhabited this and shoved them over into corners.
Yeah, of course.
And let them starve.
Well-
and let them die of disease, and then we call it our country.
Well, I mean, come on, California,
Yeah.
New Mexico, Arizona, Texas.
Yeah.
That was Mexico.
That was Mexico.
Mexico's. We kind of had a war.
And Susan's right. The Native Americans. I mean, look at the way we've treated Native Americans. I mean, when they actually follow through with our laws that we put in place and prosper, the jealousy and the outright stupidity that comes along with it is just off the charts. People lose their minds over it and talk about how unfair it is, including the guy who's currently in the White House.
Well, listen,
Which, by the way,
I know they're
have you
looking.
seen the Epstein files?
No.
I just wondered.
Yeah.
No,
They're
but
never going to say that. They're sitting next to Donald Trump's tax returns, so.
it could be.
Maybe
Hey,
they're
what I'm
under
saying,
them, I don't know.
there's a call out there for people who have pure American blood. Go find you a Native American, because
There you go.
none of us have a pure American blood. We are a mixture.
I got Native American blood. I ain't pure.
If you've ever done your DNA test,
Yeah.
you'll find out real quick. You're probably not even who you think you are.
Yeah.
But
Little Scots,
anyway, I want to move on to one
little
last thing here.
Irish. Yeah.
The cuts to Medicaid are coming. They are real. Arthur Orr, in an interview with APR this week, said that the state would deal with it. They would find the money. Well, after the SNAP benefits, it's going to hurt no matter what. You're going to lose a lot of people, Susan, and hospitals will close. I hope Senator Orr is correct that we find the money, but this SNAP benefits and this Medicaid is going to hurt real people.
Why weren't we finding it last session when we knew it was coming? Okay, we're talking about 1 in 5 Alabamians, 945,000 Alabama residents, most of whom are children and elderly in nursing homes that this is going to hit. And I don't think they're taking it seriously enough. We're also talking about rural hospitals closing. We're talking about a major health catastrophe.
And nearly 50% of all births in Alabama are done with Medicaid and through Medicaid. And this is going to harm primarily children, women.
And race doesn't come into this. We're talking all different races that this is
Anyway,
gonna
we just
affect.
pray that the state will find money to do good instead of finding money to, whatever, something else. Anyway, you've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.